Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the People's Choice Podcast. It's episode 41. I'm here with very special guests, the the creators and the host of Soul Quest. I got Cisco here and Shannon. How you guys doing? Welcome to the People's Choice. Sharon. I'm sorry, Sharon. I got so many friends that are named Shannon, so I just naturally want to say that. I'm so sorry, Sharon.
It's okay.
All good.
I'm gonna have to edit that out.
No, authenticity, dude. That's what it said. I do that. I have another podcast besides the one I do with Sharon, and man, I always tell people on that one, it's like, man, you can say whatever you want to say. I'm not going to edit anything. So if you don't want to say something, then just don't say it.
True that. I try to keep it as authentic as possible too. I just want people to feel as comfortable as they can. So same for you guys. I mean, there's no restrictions. You guys just be yourselves.
Yeah, right on. I'm all about that.
And so I know we just talked a little bit off camera that you guys known each other for a long time since you guys were in sixth grade. So what was it like growing up together in Texas?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, so my first memory with Cisco is seventh grade. He would torture me. He would throw my notebook on the floor and just try to get a reaction from me all the time. And we would prank call each other. And we just had this interesting, middle school boy-girl friendship. And then high school came around and he started getting kind of popular. And we had still an interesting friendship, then kind of irritation going on there. We had an interesting friendship, but we didn't see each other after 11th grade until 3.5 years ago, because him and I were both going through a divorce, and we had heard through a mutual friend that we were both going through a divorce. He reached out to me on Instagram, and then we started becoming each other's support, and then friendship, and more than friends, and we're in a long distance relationship at this point, but we really love to pump each other up and pump other people up. And so we started Soul Quest to help, kind of focus on people's journeys and how people learn through their challenges and how they come out on the other side of it, a better version of themselves. And
true.
That's my version of the story. What about you, Cisco?
All right, so my version of the story.
Chad, you sound like you're a bully.
So I did in middle school. I did mess with Sharon quite a bit, but I always tell her now that I look at it. I mean, immediately I had a crush on her, and I was a little kid. How old are you in 6th, 7th grade?
11, 12.
11, 12. Yeah. So, I actually, when I was 12, I probably looked, how old, Sharon? I was
yeah, he was old. He was real little.
Yeah, I was real little. So I guess Sharon used to sit behind me in a couple classes, and I used to mess with her. But she was a very interesting person to me at the time. She had this aura of
aura of positivity.
She was new wave kind of goth, she dressed in all black, and I was like, damn, why is this girl, I wasn't that kind of person, but she was like that, and I was intrigued by her, and I would mess with her over it, because my brother was kind of like that alternative kind of kid, dressed all black and listened to alternative music. So, I teased her quite a bit, but she changed as she turned into someone, or she just changed into we're always changing as individuals, and she changed into someone else when we got to 9th grade, and we had several classes together throughout high school, and I would mess with her still. But I think I was more, I'm sorry. I apologize to her so many times in the past 3 years. I'm so sorry. I'm a changed person. I don't act that way anymore. So, but yeah, I have changed since then, and
I hope so.
I mean,
We all change.
We're talking 30 years ago or more. So
and actually that's going to lead into my next question. If you guys know each other for about 30 years or close to it, what's the key to keeping a friendship or just a bond like that?
Well, I mean, I think for me, the schools that Cisco and I grew up in were like major melting pots. Like there were so many of all kinds of race, which was awesome to have that experience. And my friends from high school, I have this bond with because we went through so much. I think anybody that you kind of know from childhood, when especially if you've kind of reconnected with them, it kind of feels like going back home a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like to somebody that knew you when you were 13, and even though we didn't know each other that well, I mean, how well can a 13-year-old know another 13-year-old? I mean, you don't talk about the things that you talk about as an adult, right? Like there's a lot of stuff going in a 13-year-old's head that we don't really share with our friends at that time. But I think for me, when it comes to friendships from high school or like a kid, it's like a feeling of home to me. Like it's like a family to me that keeps me bonded with them. And even though Cisco and I didn't see each other for so long, it felt like home when we reconnected. And same thing with all my high school friends. Like we're really close right now, but there's been years where we weren't. Mm-hmm. But when we see each other, it's just like no time has passed because we feel like we know each other so well and we accept each other and we've seen each other go through so many changes and we support each other.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that. Like I have a group of friends I've known since kindergarten, and I'm 46. Well, I'll be 46 soon here, but I've known them since I was. Birthday. Yeah, thank you. I've known those kids since I was like 5 or 6 years old, and we've been friends ever since. So like whenever I see them today, like it's like we don't skip a beat. I mean, we still acting kind of like kids, talking trash to each other, but it's all like, we don't cross the line like and get upset or anything. It's all giggles, fun and games. But I don't when I reconnected with Sharon, like it wasn't, I wasn't, and messing with her, I was just like, hey, I'm a changed person now. I'm not that little kid that used to annoy you all the time. But yeah, it was definitely like talking to her about what she was actually going through as a teen, and then relating to what I was going through. Cause like she said, like, you really don't know someone that close when you're 13. And I struggled with a lot of bullying when I was a kid, and people beat me up. My brother, of course, used to beat me up all the time. So like, I didn't share that with Sharon when I was a kid. And then she had some things too that was going on in her life that I never knew about until we got older and we got to express those things that were going on in our lives. And we kind of like think, oh man, I mean, I was going through that, you were going through this, but we never showed it to each other as kids. But as adults, like we had this, I guess, compassion for each other. It's like, damn, that sucks that we had to go through that. Let's try to help people. And Sharon, as her profession, what she does is she works with kids, and I'm a trainer too. So like I train with kids too, and I try to help my kids that I train, like understand that, what they're going through. It's okay to talk to a grown up or about it, or work with kids to help lift them up, enlighten them, and make them feel strong, and not just physically from a trainer aspect, but mentally, like, you be who you want to be, but be true to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Even as a kid, I mean, you have a lot to learn and growing experiences, but I had a lot of mentors when I was a kid, men that were older than me, my dad's friends and other people. And like, man, when I was a kid, I always hung out with people that were kind of older than me, because I always feel like they had something to say, like they had something that I was going to like grasp onto that as, whether I was 13, 14, 15. And I still like, it's still embedded in my head today that I was like, man, I remember I used to be told that when I was a kid. Some kids, it just goes in one ear, not the other ear. And, and then they end up having to face those challenges over and over until, you finally overcome them, So
that's awesome that you guys reunited and just picked up, because I don't know, maybe it's something with my generation. I mean, I'm a little younger, I'm 26, but it seemed like I have a hard time just keeping up or keeping a friendship with people that I grew up with. It seems like as being older, like more people from like either college or people from like senior year of high school that I'm still close with. But like, I would love to reconnect with some of my friends from middle school and just have them there. So I'm really proud of you guys to be able to keep that friendship. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
yeah, we're still learning from each other.
Yeah. And I think, you know what, I think at your age, in my late 20s, I wasn't hanging out with my high school friends very much at that point. I was, doing my own thing. They were doing their own thing. But I think it's like when you start getting into your mid 30s, 40s, it's like you want to come back to that, and reconnect and talk to each other about what you've been through. And I don't know, there's just something magical about reuniting.
There is. And sometimes
friends.
you can hash some things out, or not really hash it out, but just talk about like, man, you remember when you were a kid and you used to do this to me, and then just make them realize like Sharon did to me, which, I mean, it helps, I think, growth with anybody, what I'm saying, to make people kind of look back and remember like those times and what kind of person they were to maybe who they are today. And subconsciously, sometimes we hold on to those things and not know who, there's certain, as you get older, that, there's certain things that you do that affected you when you were a child and you don't even know. Like you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it until, maybe an old friend will bring it up. And you're like, damn, I used to do it and I still do that today. So it's really about understanding, like, and like you said, to hook up with someone, it's kind of exciting at the same time. So with old friends.
So I got a question to ask both of you guys. So with you being a personal trainer, Cisco, and you also being a life coach, Sharon, and also a teacher, and respectfully so, you as well. What was your soul quest to getting on those paths? No pun intended. Like that, the soul quest. So whichever one you want to go first.
Okay. Well, so our quest to get to what we're doing right now.
Yes.
So I was a middle school teacher for about 9 years, and I was teaching science, and I loved it at certain schools, depending on who my boss was. I loved it because I got to connect to I love the middle school age. A lot of teachers don't have patience for middle school, but I just love middle school. So I would love to connect with the kids and just like get down on their level and help them with things that were going on, like, friend drama. There's always, the girls were always having friend drama. The boys, their lack of motivation and trying to get them motivated in school and increasing their confidence. That was what I enjoyed most about teaching. Mm-hmm. And so I kept thinking to myself, I remember in high school how insecure I was, and like I went through some depression. Of course, nobody else knew that but me in my journal. But I had nobody there to help me work through it. And I felt like I was being able to help my students with that. And I felt like what they were learning in school, there was more important things they needed to learn that they weren't getting. Of course, there's a school counselor that comes in and teaches, certain things every once in a while, but they don't pay attention to that. They need like a one-on-one person that can get down to their level, tell them they understand them, accept what they're feeling. And I was able to do that for my students, and it felt really good. And I just got to a point where I thought, I don't want to teach science anymore. I want to teach these kids tools to help them with their up and downs in life, because especially in your teen years, it's like, you're happy and it's the best day ever, and the next day is the worst day ever. And they don't have the tools to deal with that. And then a lot of, kids, they just go into this depression hole. And these days it's like, back then when we were growing up, we didn't have internet, so we couldn't like just throw ourselves into gaming or anything. But today kids just kind of check out of society, and I feel like it's a detriment to them. But I started Dream Beautiful, a personal development for kids, where I was one-on-one coaching with kids and teaching classes. And before COVID, of course, it was all in person. I would go to kids' homes and work with them one-on-one and just teach them little, skills like meditation and journaling and different things, just talking to them and letting them have a voice. And then as the years went on, I got divorced, became a single mom, and I felt a calling to help women going through divorce. And so that's been evolving too. And then Cisco and I have come together to do some projects together and hosting a retreat in Costa Rica, which we're excited about. So it's interesting to see how your dreams evolve and how they grow and change. But kids are still my number one in my heart. I feel like I'm called to help them because of what I went through and what I would see my middle school science students go through. So that's my story.
What about you, Cisco?
What led me to where I am today? Well, man, so many things. I've done so many things in the past 25 years. But I guess when I was a teenager, I knew a lot of people. This sounds funny.
You still
but
know a lot of people.
I did. People used to tell me.
He's the most popular guy in school.
People used to. I mean, this sounds funny, but like, I remember there were a couple of people who used to sell drugs, and they're like, "Man, you should be a drug dealer, dude. You'd make so much money because you know so many people." But that just wasn't. I don't play that. So like, I engaged with so many people that when I had this job for 5 years when I was 16 to 20, and I learned a lot in that job. And that job came to an end. I became a bike messenger, and I started riding bikes, which was in the fitness kind of realm. But I was an event coordinator at the same time. I was always throwing bike races and trying to get people to, come and exercise and be a part of the race. And then I started doing a small publication and putting out information on stuff that had to do in the bike scene. And I did that for 12 years. And throughout those 12 years, I was traveling around, going to other bike events, competing, as that and doing that. And then my job came to an end. And then I was like, man, what am I going to do? It's like, I've been, delivering packages and, on my bike for 12 years. And then of course I've been an avid runner and still a cyclist and all that. So I was just like, man, I'm just going to become a trainer and help people this way. So yeah, now I've been training. I think this is going to be my 14th year, 13th or 14th year of training and helping people. But man, that's kind of coming to an end as well, but I won't go into that. Sharon and I have actually joined forces, and we're trying to do these other things that involved really helping people, whether it's divorce or getting someone interested on the interesting on the podcast to share their quest on where they are today, that hopefully that can influence anybody at any age to find something deep down inside that they want to do with their life. And life, to me, it's not always about just staying on one thing. That's just me. Like, I'd rather that saying, I'd be a jack of traits and a master of none, because I'm educating myself, like doing all these different things, as opposed to like being a doctor or a lawyer, and spend your whole life doing law or your whole life doing medicine. But life is just very interesting for me. And I just think there's too much out there in the world, to just stay to one subject. That's just me. That's the way I feel about life. And as long as, I can, and then Sharon and I can like help as many people as we can. I guess that's gratifying right there for me. Like, also when I train someone, they lose weight or they gain strength or they gain balance and coordination, like that means a lot to me. When I reassess them and test them on all these things, like they might not think it's happening, but over 4 weeks, 6 weeks, like when a progress starts happening within someone's physical self, it just grows them mentally as well. So it can be gratifying at the same time. I always tell people, like, I'm just the medium, like, just I channel things and people listen, and then, just do what you do that'll work for you. I'm doing what I'm doing that'll work for me. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's different. So yeah, that's my quest is still going. I mean, I still have, more to go, more to learn, more to see, more to do, and more to just blossom and open up and become, who I'm going to be,
Well, yeah, definitely. I could tell from both of you guys, just hearing your backstory, just the passion you guys voice, and big respects and props to you guys, because working with children, working with people on either if it's anxiety or mental health or just confidence, and you guys are really like reaching out and helping people. That is amazing, especially even at a young age, because a lot of people don't think that middle schoolers, that's where it really starts, at least in my opinion. I think that's where like you really start changing, and you don't really know like where to fit in, and all these questions, and then stuff that happens at home. I know I've been there, so I really love and respect what you guys do, for real.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when did you guys decide that you wanted to start podcasting?
Well, we, us being in a long distance relationship, some people in a long distance relationship never talk, but we talk every night and we FaceTime. And so during that time, we would have these conversations that were just like, wow, my gosh, we're getting deep. And then we love to learn about other people's life too, and just like discuss, like where they've been and how far they've come and all that. And so one day I get both Cisco and I are always like coming up with creative ideas and like what can we do next, and I text him one day. I was like, hey, would you want to do a podcast with me? I just had this idea. I texted him and he goes, yes, I would love to. And I'm like, oh my God. So we came up with the name. We wanted something about the soul in there. And
which one of y'all came up with the name? Or y'all both did?
I think we kind of just said it. Or
I don't even know. I think we're just brainstorming, writing stuff down, and we knew we wanted the word soul in there, and then about a soul journey. And I think quest. I think you mentioned Tribe Called Quest or whatever. We were just like,
there we go.
Hey, I'm a big hip hop junkie, dude. Like I still DJ, and I used to be in record pools and collect albums and music. So like, dude, I have a huge library for hip hop. So
and me too. Like my mom and dad, like they love hip hop, and they had me at a young age learning about the legends and true hip hop, because they said the stuff that.
Oh wow! I bet your parents and Cisco could have some good conversations.
Oh yeah, they said Tribe Called Quest. They're big fans of that. Of course, KRS-One. Shoot, man, I can go on and on. There's so many. Public Enemy. I mean, all over.
So many. Like, yeah, I'm a library for that stuff. So, yeah, if you ever want to talk that stuff, hit me up. I'm all about that stuff too. So,
hey, I got an idea.
Yeah.
So, with podcasting, what is the most exciting thing about podcasting, and also the most challenging, in your all's opinion?
Sharon, you go first. I'll tell you. I'll go first.
The most exciting thing is the people that we've met. We've had some really cool people on there. We just went one after the other. We've kind of been on pause right now for the last month. But the most challenging thing is editing and marketing it, getting people to actually listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to agree on that. The people. I was doing a podcast before Sharon and I started.
Cisco has another podcast too.
I have a podcast called Humidity. It's about bike messengers, which are a dying breed right now, unless you're in New York, San Francisco, Seattle, like those. But Houston, it's dying. But what I do is I interview bike messengers and just hear the stories from the bike messenger. And it's actually kind of cool because I do current and past bike messengers, and then friends of bike messengers or cyclists. And it can be challenging, the editing part for sure. But I try to keep it as minimal as possible. and getting people to listen to it, like platforming it, like getting it out there. And of course, if you really want to, I mean, it's all about how bad you want it. That's the thing right there. If you want to put money into it and market it and push it, yeah. And then there's one thing that kind of, like, when people, Sharon listens to a lot of podcasts. I listen to quite a few podcasts myself. And, a lot of times people, they always want to get the A-listers, you know what I'm saying? Like the people who are, solidified or whatever, famous, somewhat semi-famous. But like, I'm all about from the people's perspective, like
same.
What is how are the people doing it? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't, of course, people get famous and like, okay, I'll just give you an example. Joe Rogan. Like I listen to him from time to time, and like, he's always got, a lot of top list, A-list people, but at the same time, he has like economists and like other people who they're not too famous, but they've written a book, and they hunters, and he interviews all kinds of people. But he always, I told Sharon, since Joe Rogan's in Austin, I told her one time, I was like, man, I'm gonna contact that guy. It's like, just interview a regular person, you know what I'm saying? Like someone who isn't super famous, and just get it. I think there's a book, I told Sharon this, it's by Howard Zinn or Noam Chomsky, but like it's a book he wrote. It's called From the Perspective of the People. And, it's not like from the history books, it's written from the people, like from the early 1900s, the 1800s, and I think the 1700s. So like whether it was coming from like diaries of people writing, but it was actually from the people, not what has been written in the history books. So you get a little bit more elaborate detail on what the people were, your average farmer, your average worker, it wasn't like someone, a politician at that time, or, some, what do you call it? Those socialite of that era of the early, 1900s or 1800s, or just someone who was rich and famous at that time, who was documented, through some type of literature. But I honestly think like hearing it from the people is where it's at, because you get to understand it was coming from the, the individual, the people, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah,
the horse's actual mouth, you know what I'm saying? Like the people who buy, who consume, who vote, who do all those things. Like you hear it from those kind of people, the people who work hard and, really do get a chance to express themselves. But
yeah. And I really admire that about the People's Choice podcast, Alvin, because I listened to one of yours, Just Steph.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That was pretty cool. He seems like a really cool guy.
Oh yeah,
and I was like,
is.
This is good. This is like a guy I never would have heard of, but since I listened to your podcast, I know about him now.
Exactly. Okay. Like that's what I'm about. There's a lot of people with raw talent, and people who do good, and people who are just good people overall. And I feel like sometimes those people, whether they want to or not, but like share their experience, you know what I'm saying? Like let other people know that this is what they're going through, and someone out there can relate and be touched by it, and then maybe make a change in their life to do better. You know what I'm saying?
100%, guys. And thank you for checking out that episode. That's really what my podcast is really all about. Like, I think I mentioned it in one of my episodes where I'm like, I don't care if you're a freaking milkman or you're going to space. Like, I feel like you have something to offer to the world, So, like, I just love to put them out there. Like, eventually I'll probably get, like, some maybe high-level A-listers. But for the time being, I love just people that's going through everyday life, everyday struggles, or, triumphs, and learning from it. I love it. And you guys are really the same. Like, I think you guys' podcast is really going to take off. You continue to stay true to you guys and your vision, and put out that positivity.
Exactly.
I got a couple more questions that I'll ask, because I just love to ask my listeners these two the same questions, because the answers are always great. So either one of you guys could start off by answering, but what is your favorite quote that you lean on, Lord, that you lean on during the good times or the bad times? What's your favorite quote?
Mine is just that popular one of "Be the Change You Want to See in the World" by Gandhi. And that's why we actually title our retreat "Be the Change," because we feel like it's really important that people understand that our own self-care really does affect the world. So
What about you, Cisco?
Sure. My favorite that I mean, it's written in so many different versions, but Norman Rockwell once said, I have it hanging on my wall here at the studio, but
It's a nice setup too.
Thank you. I don't know if you can see that, but it says, it's the golden rule: do unto others as you would have done them onto you. So, do to others what you would do to yourself, so that's what I live by. Like, would I treat myself this way? Or, don't get me wrong, sometimes I have a hiccup, but don't we all?
It's part of being human. And I knew you guys were going to have some great quotes. That's why I was like, oh, I got to make sure I ask this. And then my other question I want to ask is, what is a hidden talent that you guys have that either your friends, family, or fans, or even each other probably don't even know about?
Wow.
I can speak of Cisco, and Cisco can tell mine.
Okay.
Or I think Cisco's hidden talent is that he can do hard things. Like, I don't even know if it's hidden really, but if he has a problem, he figures out how to do it. Like, there's no giving up on it. He just does it. And all of a sudden he's like, this was so hard. Like, I don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden he's done it. Like, it's just like, give him a challenge and he will succeed at solving the problem.
Yeah, I get.
What were you going to say? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'll agree with you on that. Like, I mean, there are some things when I get in it, I just throw my hands. I was like, oh God. And then I look at it again and I'm like, or I think about, whether it's conversation or something with somebody or building something or making something, I always go back at it for a second chance or even a third or fourth chance to make it or whatever's, whatever I'm trying to do. Yeah, I've been through some very challenging times. Actually, when I was married, that was really challenging. It was great the first, 5 years. Oh, it was like this, but it was challenging, and I got through it, and it ended up in divorce. And I'm not mad at.
But I think just physical, not just life challenges, but physical things, like fixing something, doing something that needs a lot of strength, I don't know. He's really good at that.
Awesome.
But
awesome.
I would say mine is that
I'm gonna say yours and then you. All right. Sharon, I think she's a great conversationalist. That's her hidden talent. She knows the questions to ask and how to assist and help somebody. That's her special talent. And then she has a wonderful smile, which I think that wins, people as well. She just smiles so big, but she's been doing that since she was a kid. I remember just smiling so big. So yeah, being able to help people. What were you going to say, Sharon? I'm sorry.
I was going to say that I feel like with me, not many people see this part of me, you see it. I can get kind of deep and spiritual about things like life and life after life and stuff that I can talk about. Not everybody knows me in that way.
Awesome.
But then that's your special talent. You pull it out of you. Someone's talking to you, you start talking about that stuff. And, sometimes I'm just like, whoa, but Sharon reads a lot. So she's always reading at least I would say half of her day consists of reading. A book of some type. So
reading is power. Reading is knowledge.
It is knowledge. Knowledge is king. So,
yes.
KRS-One says that all the time.
Yeah, there you go. I'm telling you, man.
So it looks like we're about to run out of time.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I've never done a 3 one before, and I was like, oh no, crap. But because I do have a few more questions, I'll try to squeeze them in if I can. If not, then I'll just skip it. But what is one of your favorite episodes from Soul Quest that you would recommend to all my peeps and new listeners?
Wow.
Gosh.
Man, there's quite a few of them, dude.
I like the
I know
one
it's
with
like picking your
Diana
favorite child,
Lane.
right?
I know. Then I don't want to pick one over the other, you know. But
What was that, Sharon? I'm sorry.
I like the one episode with Diana Lane. I can't remember what number. I think it's number 29. I'm gonna pick that one. But I mean, yeah, there's so many in different ways. But
yeah,
that one
I think
was really good.
like Sharon has done some without me, and I've maybe done a couple without her. And I mean, I'm not going to be biased because I enjoy everybody's conversation. I do. I really do. Like during the beginning of COVID, like people would just stop by my house, and I have a balcony, and we would just, sit one end of the balcony and we would just have conversations, like I just love even, just having a conversation with anybody like this is very informative in all kinds of ways. It just matters of how much you want to pay attention and what clues or what how do you say it? What little awe moments are you gonna have? That make you be like, oh man, I'm so glad you came over. So we can have this conversation. Or like I think that about the podcast, like the one that we do is like, man, you said something that I would never thought about, and thank you for that.
Awesome, guys.
So, yeah.
I mean, I wish I had more time on this because we're gonna have a part 2 of this. You guys, I feel like I got so much I could just pick from each of y'all brains and learn, and even vice versa.
Yeah.
For all my peeps and new listeners, where can they find you guys on social media and your show?
At Soul Quest Podcast, and then I'm at Dream Beautiful _ Sharon. Cisco, you're at Cisco.
Yeah, I'm just on Instagram mainly at Cisco, Cisco, last name Nira. And I mostly do my just stuff on Instagram. Try not to so much on Facebook. Every now and then I'll do something on Facebook. But I'm mostly an Instagram person. No TikTok, none of that other. I'm just mainly an Instagram person.
Awesome, guys. And I'll make sure I put that in the description for all my peeps to follow you guys. Anyone you want to shout out before we wrap up?
Man, just shout out to everybody.
Yeah, everybody. And thank you so much, Alvin. We can't wait to have you on our Soul Quest podcast.
Yeah, please
Definitely.
do. Come on. And then we get to turn the tables around and hear from you. Yeah.
I have an amazing story. I think you guys would really enjoy it. Thank you again for being on episode 42 of People's Choice Podcast. Thank you, for real. I'll see you guys on Soul Quest.
Yeah, sure.
All right, we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.